Here's your rewritten piece at roughly 939 words, tightened for clarity, flow, and impact. Mayor Tiffany Henyard's scandal-ridden time in office has pushed the village of Dalton, Illinois, to the edge of collapse. The village now faces a financial meltdown, with a reported deficit surpassing $5 million. And at the center of the storm stands Henyard herself. Accusations swirl around her. Financial mismanagement, authoritarian leadership, personal vendettas, and deepening corruption. With mounting investigations and public trust in freefall, Henyard's political future hangs by a thread. Her rise to power was anything but smooth. After the sudden death of longtime Mayor Frank Zuccarelli, Dalton found itself scrambling. With no clear succession plan, trustee Christopher Gonzalez made a last-minute nomination, Tiffany Henyard. The rushed appointment sparked immediate controversy, with critics calling it a political chess move rather than a decision based on merit. From the moment she was sworn in, residents questioned the legitimacy of her leadership. At first, Henyard promised financial responsibility, pledging to rebuild and serve the community. But those promises unraveled quickly. What followed was a pattern of instability, erratic decision-making, and political purges. Henyard swiftly consolidated power, removing key figures like Jessica Jones and Stephanie Weidman. Firings many saw as politically motivated. Her leadership grew increasingly isolated, fracturing relationships with local officials and dividing the community. The cracks widened after a public showdown with Township Assessor Cassandra Stone. In one shocking episode, Henyard reportedly locked Stone out of her own office during a heated confrontation. Just days later, confidential documents containing private information were found scattered outside Henyard's office, triggering alarm over how her administration was handling sensitive data. These weren't just administrative blunders, they were red flags. Soon, whispers of corruption grew louder. Critics accused Henyard of using her office for personal gain, retaliating against the senators, and mishandling public funds. Rumors of embezzlement and misused taxpayer dollars caught the attention of federal authorities. Sources now confirm that the FBI has launched a formal investigation into Henyard's financial dealings. Yet instead of addressing the crisis head-on, Henyard doubled down on portraying herself as a victim. She insisted the accusations were part of a political plot designed to bring her down. But the residents of Dalton weren't buying it. Her administration remained opaque, her leadership style stayed erratic, and her public support continued to crumble. Approval ratings plummeted. Calls for her resignation grew louder, and still Henyard clung to her office, offering bizarre defenses and digging in. One of the most explosive controversies was the sudden relocation of the Township Assessor's office, a move carried out without official paperwork, no formal process, and no explanation. Henyard claimed the building's heat made it unbearable to work in, but a lack of transparency set off a political firestorm. Assessor Cassandra Stone and other officials raised the alarm, calling the abrupt relocation suspicious. Then came the bombshell. Sensitive documents had vanished during the move, evaporating without a trace. With them went any remaining public confidence that Henyard's administration had things under control. Allegations of gross mismanagement and zero accountability piled higher. Even some of Henyard's longtime supporters began to peel away, frustrated that major decisions were being made without any community input. In a strange twist, one defender tried to point to a state-issued financial reporting award as proof that Dalton was doing well, but the public wasn't buying it. With the village facing a multi-million-dollar deficit, the applause rang hollow and the timing felt tone-deaf. The financial crisis was real, and no award could paper over it. As the scandals deepened, Henyard's public rhetoric shifted. She began using religious language in her statements, casting herself as a misunderstood figure enduring attacks from every side. Her close ally, Keith Freeman, went even further, declaring Henyard chosen by God to bear the pain of her political battles. God doesn't make mistakes, Freeman insisted. He put her here to take the lashes and endure the pain. But to many residents, the religious framing felt like a distraction, a smokescreen designed to deflect from the real problems: secrecy, mismanagement, and a government teetering on the edge of collapse. In response to growing criticism, Henyard's administration tightened its grip. Meetings were moved behind closed doors. The press was increasingly shut out, and when reporters were allowed in, they were cut off mid-question. Freeman repeatedly accused the media of spreading lies and gossip, even holding up what he claimed was proof that no documents had been mishandled. But his reassurances did little to calm the storm. What began as a logistical dispute over the assessor's office had now become symbolic of something far larger: a mayor cutting corners, bypassing process, silencing dissent, and freezing out the public. Today, the people of Dalton are asking hard questions. Is Tiffany Henyard really here to serve the community, or is she using her position to serve herself? The investigations continue to unfold, but with every new headline, every fresh accusation, Henyard's grip on power weakens. What started as a hasty, last-minute appointment has spiraled into a full-blown political disaster. Henyard's administration is now synonymous with scandal, secrecy, and financial ruin. And Dalton's residents are no longer waiting quietly. They are demanding accountability. Mayor Tiffany Henyard insists she's the victim of a smear campaign. But the facts, the documents, and the public outrage tell a very different story. Whether Henyard resigns or digs in deeper, one thing is undeniable. Dalton's trust has been shattered, and it could take years to rebuild. But this scandal isn't confined to Dalton anymore. Henyard also holds power in Thornton Township, and the ripple effects are spreading fast. What began as a bold political rise has turned into a cautionary tale of unchecked power, blurred ethics, and a community desperate for answers. Lawsuits are mounting. Faith in local government is eroding, and residents across Dalton and Thornton Township are left wondering how things fell apart so quickly. Henyard's actions didn't just spark controversy. They silenced the very voices she once promised uplift. As the chaos deepened, even her closest allies began turning on her. Once loyal supporter Tran Diaz publicly clashed with Henyard, accusing her of locking board members out of key decisions and behaving unprofessionally on official trips. Trustee Andrew Holmes and others were soon caught in the crossfire, but that was only the beginning. Nate Fields, a photographer from South Holland who worked for the township, said Henyard promised him job security, then fired him without warning. He described the work environment as toxic, a place where dissent was punished and intimidation ruled. These personal conflicts only poured gasoline on a fire already raging with legal troubles. Multiple lawsuits piled up. One came from a Dalton police officer who served as Henyard's personal bodyguard, suing over wrongful treatment. Another came from a former employee who claimed they were illegally terminated. But perhaps the most serious was brought by Dwayne Thrash, a former maintenance manager who said he was fired under false pretenses while on authorized medical leave. His lawsuit doesn't just challenge his firing. It cites violations of his First and 14th Amendment rights, accusing Henyard of steamrolling constitutional protections and abandoning any sense of due process. As complaints mounted, Henyard's response grew more aggressive and defiant. Her administration lashed out at critics, accusing nearly everyone of being part of a political conspiracy. And then came the hammer blow. The feds got involved. Federal authorities brought in former Chicago mayor and veteran prosecutor Lori Lightfoot to investigate Henyard's actions. Lightfoot's legal services don't come cheap. She's reportedly billing taxpayers $400 an hour, and every minute is focused on Henyard's use of public funds for lavish spending. We're talking high-end meals, luxury hotel stays, and yes, a township-funded trip to Las Vegas. That Las Vegas trip alone raised serious red flags about possible misuse of taxpayer money. But instead of addressing the allegations head-on, Henyard doubled down, claiming she's being targeted because she's a black woman in power. It's a serious claim, but critics argue Henyard is using it as a shield to deflect from real, documented misconduct. And just when the public wanted accountability, she disappeared. Henyard was absent from a key Dalton board meeting where Lightfoot's hiring was on the agenda. For residents already frustrated by her no-shows, vanishing acts, and erratic decisions, her absence was another slap in the face. Despite her attempts to cast herself as a victim, Henyard's credibility is crumbling. Her claims of persecution now feel detached from reality. The communities of Dalton and Thornton Township are speaking louder than ever. They want accountability, transparency, and a government that works for the people, not against them. What started with hope has descended into a nightmare. Her approval ratings have hit rock bottom, and calls for her resignation grow louder each week. Even former defenders are now asking, can we ever recover from the damage she's done? As Lightfoot's investigation deepens, Henyard's future looks grim. The lawsuits, the financial questions, the public's shattered trust. It's hard to imagine a comeback from here. Will she step aside, or will she cling to power until the bitter end? More and more evidence is surfacing, and the people of Dalton and Thornton are waiting for answers, waiting for justice, waiting to finally turn the page. The fall of Tiffany Henyard is no longer just local gossip. It's becoming a national case study in power gone unchecked. And it doesn't stop with Henyard herself. Even her trustees have come under scrutiny. 2 of them are rumored to be related to her. Federal grand jury subpoenas have now demanded everything. Payroll records, credit card statements, travel logs, even documents related to Henyard's former burger restaurant and her deputy police chief. The message is clear. This investigation goes deep. In March, things took an even darker turn. Reports surfaced that Henyard had tried to obstruct the FBI's probe, an obstruction that only came to light after Lori Lightfoot was brought in. That move alone has investigators asking, what is she hiding? And the heat doesn't stop with Henyard. Her top aide, Keith Freeman, is now under a separate investigation for bankruptcy fraud. Freeman allegedly failed to report Dalton's revenues during his bankruptcy case and still managed to collect payments beyond the approved township budget. But that's not all. Freeman is also being investigated for financial mismanagement in Robbins, another nearby town. And yet he still holds power in both Dalton and Thornton Township. Some are now openly wondering, is Freeman negotiating behind the scenes? Could he flip on Henyard in exchange for lighter penalties? Former FBI agents say it's very possible, and more informants may soon come forward, tightening the legal noose around Henyard's administration. But perhaps the most infuriating part, residents say, is the spending. Over the past year, Henyard racked up more than $12,000 in taxpayer-funded travel, staying in luxury hotels like the Four Seasons in Atlanta and the Marriott Marquis in New York, often flying first class. One hotel bill reportedly reached a jaw-dropping $133,000. And let's not forget the infamous $26,000 trip to Las Vegas. All this while Dalton struggles just to stay afloat. Henyard's six-figure taxpayer-funded salary, paired with these luxury trips, paints a disturbing picture, a public servant living like royalty on the backs of taxpayers. Meanwhile, the residents she was elected to serve are hurting, and her critics say she's choosing champagne over community. And when the backlash hit, Henyard didn't show remorse. Instead, she played the race card in a shocking public statement, accusing black trustees of betraying their own community. "You should all feel ashamed," she said. "You're sitting up there attacking a black woman in power." But the community pushed back hard, because this, they argue, isn't about race. It's about responsibility. People of all backgrounds are demanding accountability. The anger isn't about who Henyard is. It's about what she's done. And behind the financial scandals lies something even darker, a culture of fear, toxic work environments, retaliation, and intimidation. South Holland resident Nate Fields, who once worked for the township, says Henyard promised him job security, then fired him, and even sent male associates to harass and intimidate him into silence. He's not alone. Multiple lawsuits are still pending, including the police officer who served as her personal security, and Dwayne Thrash, who claims he was illegally fired while on approved medical leave. Thrash's case goes further, accusing Henyard of violating his constitutional rights on the First and 14th Amendments. This is no longer just political drama. It's a full-blown legal crisis. Lori Lightfoot, once a U.S. attorney, is now fully embedded in the federal probe. Her legal team is reportedly building a mountain of evidence, and the investigation has expanded significantly. Subpoenas are flying, and former FBI officials believe the worst is yet to come. The Tiffany Henyard saga has become a national warning. What happens when power is left unchecked, when accountability collapses, and when leadership turns inward, focusing on personal gain over public good? For the residents of Dalton and Thornton Township, the wait continues. They want justice, they want answers, and they want to know, when will this chapter finally close?